What's up, fam? I got to talk today about something very important. So if you've been watching my last few road rants, I try to tie something from like recent news to a bigger issue if I can. So hopefully I'll get to the issues I'm trying to tie this to, because I'm jumping into a big topic. Because there's a couple recent things that have happened that tie right into this. One is the debates last night, and the other is that ABC News fired David Wright for basically believing mainstream Bernie Sanders type stuff as exposed by Project Veritas. Felons, frauds, liars, hack jobs, fascists. So those are kind of the two issues that have made it important for me to talk about the rise of fascism in the United States. I think the rise of fascism in the United States is the single most important issue we have facing us. And that's because of how it will affect all the other issues. We're not going to solve climate change if our country is taken over by fascists, for instance. Now, this isn't something I think is extremely applicable or relevant to broader conversation, because fascists have very effectively weaponized the term and made it seem like it doesn't apply to anything, and that you just call everybody you don't like fascists, and people take it as hyperbolic, and people don't really believe it for the United States, certainly. So I don't think if you're talking to normies, if you will, that's a politically efficacious way of speaking, to talk about Antifa and fascists, but it's an undeniable reality. And so let me start with defining it. Fascism is the convergence of at least three very damaging factors. The most important is weaponized tribalism. The regime intentionally fearmongers and scapegoats onto minorities and blames all the problems on them. And this is the primary problematic part of fascism. Like, actual fascists love to try to pretend that Germany was socialist and, blah, blah, blah. Nobody has a problem with fascism because Germans gave the white Germans healthcare. No, we have a problem with fascism because they killed 6 million people. That's the problem. It's not the actual political structure of that's important. There's a lot of debate about that, because different countries that have been called fascist have pretty different political systems. It doesn't matter. That's not the issue. What's an issue is the weaponized tribalism. And of course, that's been an issue in the United States for a long time. Trump is very certainly making it worse. Secondly is an extreme nationalism, which there's nothing wrong with loving your country. But when you start loving your country to the over other countries to the point where you don't care about lives that aren't American, and you're overly enthused with symbols, and there's violent tendencies to go with it. I love people all over the world. I love America because of the ideals it stands for, in as much as it does. When it stands for things that are wrong, then I'm going to oppose it, because it's the ideals that matter more than this vague concept of country and patriotism. Just because it's America doesn't make it right. If America does fucked up shit, we should call it out, because we care about the ideals it's supposed to stand for. Thirdly is the extreme authoritarian nature of fascist countries. And of course, a lot of different types of political systems can be authoritarian, but fascism certainly does trend that way. So authoritarianism is just always bad. It's when you crack down on opposition, when you do everything you can to support the established authority. There's a lot of different ways you can be authoritarian. So that's fascism. There might be other aspects to it, but I think those are the three most concerning. And Project Veritas is undeniably fascist. They are funded by the Trump Foundation and the Koch brothers. or the surviving Koch at this point, I guess. They're a right-wing hack job. They're felons. They fraudulently invaded a senator's office dressed as telephone repairmen, so that they could supposedly do a video stunt, pretending to check on the phone because he wasn't answering his phone call during the passage of Obama or something. Is that really what they were doing? Were they using that as a cover to try and bug his phone? Like, who knows? They're fucking right-wing hacks. They also have been in court many times and fined and penalized for lying. They deceptively edit their videos constantly. They have no journalistic integrity. They're fucking hacks, and they're fucking fascists that support authoritarianism and weaponized tribalism. One of the groups they targeted, Acorn, is a group that primarily gets out the vote for minority communities. Sounds pretty fascist to try to target that group. So anyway, you can read all about them on Wikipedia. They suck. Well, anyway, Project Veritas had an undercover journalist in disguise talking to ABC person, I think he's a reporter or something, David Wright. And David Wright said on their video that he considers himself a socialist. He thinks we should have national health insurance. He said that the wealth gap is concerning. We're talking mainstream Bernie Sanders kind of stuff here. It wasn't like socialists, like let's start a revolution and seize the means of production socialist. This is Bernie Sanders style socialist. Everything he said. If you're wondering what I'm doing, by the way, I am trying to figure out where the registrar of voters is, because I'm going to vote for Bernie Sanders. Very excited. So the actual vote date in California is the 3rd, March 3rd. But the Register of Voters is open all week. You can go register, you can fix any issues you have, and you can drop your ballots off, which is what I'm about to do if I can find the fucking drop box. So anyway, very horrible thing for Project Veritas to pretend is an issue. But what's really horrifying about this whole scenario is that ABC News fired David Wright, or at least suspended him, and then they say when he's done with his suspension, he won't be allowed to he won't be allowed to be on any part of the news related to politics. They're going to keep him out of politics because he has opinions that support the runner candidate for president. Really? I mean, this is Bernie Sanders. He's the front runner of the Democratic race. He's probably going to be one of two people who can be president. Everybody has an opinion. Journalists are allowed to have an opinion. We just want them to be honest about it. But ABC News is pretending, oh, you know, we don't want any shadow of partisanship cast over our fine, objective political reporters. Give me a fucking break. They're not objective. We all know this. As long as they're upfront about their opinions, we wouldn't have a problem with them. Bowing to a fascist hack job activist organization like Project Veritas because somebody said they support Bernie Sanders style policy is incredibly horrible. It sets a precedent. Project Veritas is going to go around trying to get all the progressives fired out of journalism now, and we cannot let that stand. We need progressives in journalism. This is incredibly important. Antifa, where you at? Like, we can't let this stand. We need to get this trending. I don't know. I'm not the best at starting viral hashtags, but somebody's got to. And we got to hold ABC News responsible for this. Project Veritas is going to do what they're going to do. They're fucking hack jobs. But we can do what we can do, and that's pressure ABC News to not be such fucking stupid partisan hacks. We all know if the guy had been recorded saying, yeah, I supported Hillary Clinton and I support neoliberalism, and sure, I think the war in Iraq was okay, and you know, I think billionaires earned their money and they should have every right to buy our political process. Do you think they would have fired him? Of course not. How about if he turned out to be a secret conservative? Oh yeah, I voted for Donald Trump. He's the man. Build the wall. Would they have fired him? Probably not. more likely than the previous kind of establishment bias, because that's what ABC is looking for. But yeah, this is outlandish. They need to reverse their decision, and we need to put pressure on them. So since his last name is Wright, with a W, I was thinking right is right, because, something like that. Or fuck ABC or fire ABC, I don't know. But this is a huge issue. Kyle Klinsky did tweet about it, and there's a whole tweet thread. I mean, you all should be following me on Twitter. Come on now, Re-Vera Life. It's in the description, and you'll see me retweet this stuff. So that is that whole thing. I should probably do a separate segment on the debate, but let me see if I can find the Dropbox. I don't know if you can see me because I cannot see my screen in the sunlight, but yeah, vote here. Here we go. Guess they had a drive-through, but I was busy with the camera and didn't notice. 24-hour Dropbox. Alrighty. I'll start a new segment about the debates.